Hello, my name is Vanessa. Welcome to our virtual yoga class. We'll begin class by laying on our backs. Take a moment to transition there. Legs long, spine on the floor, back of the head resting softly on the mat. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, you can sigh it out. You're noticing the quality of your breath here without judgment. And without judgment, what I mean by this is that you're placing your attention to your breath in a much more intentional way right now. There's no right or wrong way to breathe here. To support you in your focus, attention, and concentration, I do recommend that you lengthen your inhale and exhale a little longer than you're accustomed to. As we slow down our breath to a point that's comfortable, we can start to assess with more awareness our physical, mental, emotional bodies, integrating that as we're working on our strength, flexibility, and balance. Throughout the class, continuously return to the breath, inhaling and exhaling. As you're laying here, make sure you're softening the neck, down the length of your spine to your hips, down to your ankles and toes. And I recommend inhaling and exhaling, sighing out at any point. By sighing out, we notice that immediate connection there, that release, physically, mentally, emotionally. Inhale, exhale, sigh out. And then on the following inhale, you're going to invite a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, pointing your toes, lifting your abdomen up towards the ceiling, separating your shoulder blades. Take a few moments here, just assessing, noticing what's sore, what's open, perhaps what body part you'd like to focus for on the rest of the day. It could be anything from your feet to your hips, to your spine, to your shoulders. Notice which body part's going to ask for some more attention today. You can be mindful of returning to that body part throughout your practice. Noticing how can I be more integrity here. You're going to rotate your ankles as well, flex your feet. And then after another breath of your butterfly pose, both soles of the feet touch, your knees fall towards the floor, your hips open up here. You want to release the tailbone towards the floor. And then different positions here with your hands and arms. I recommend 3 different positions. Backs of the hands can come onto the floor, framing your hips. That means your palms are facing up towards the ceiling. You can rest your hands around your chest and belly. This is very helpful to help your attention to go back to the breath. You feel that rise and fall of the chest and belly. It's much more present in your experience. It also invites a sense of comfort and protection, returning to oneself with your hands on your belly and chest. When the backs of your hands are on the floor, palms up towards the ceiling, it's more open. It's a restful pose. And then another option is lifting your arms up overhead, so backs of the hands are on the floor, your elbows are gently bent, perhaps making a little diamond around your head. For the lifting of the arms, this is a much more open pose. In this pose, you invite a little arch to your spine, so there's some release there around the mid back, even the upper back. Now notice your belly. Notice that you have access to full diaphragm breathing here. And so because you have access to that full diaphragm breathing, allow yourself to take a very deep breath. The deepest breath that you can take, you can invite. Now you don't have to take many breaths of these kinds, just a couple, maybe anywhere between 2 to 3, inhaling very generously, exhaling. If you feel called to exhale, sigh out, go ahead and do so. But remember, throughout your day, you don't tend to take deep, long breaths. So reacquaint yourself with what that feels like in your body. Where does it feel comfortable? Where does it feel uncomfortable? It can be any range there. It can definitely be a paradox of both. Inhale. Exhale. We'll take this moment of pause before the more active portion of class, noticing that it takes skill to soften neck and shoulders, just softening the body further towards the floor. You can perhaps visualize releasing, preparing your body to receive and integrate the rest of your practice. So a few more breaths here. Invite one more breath. Deep, long inhale, exhale. Start to release the pose. Both knees come back together. Soles of the feet on the floor. And then let's transition to a seated position. Plant your palms on the mat. Gently lift up. And I emphasize moving slowly and presently as you transition. You're noticing the adjustments you make as you settle into a cross-legged position. Your hands rest softly on your knees or your palms face up towards the ceiling. So something that we're practicing in any holistic yoga class is we're noticing those subtleties in our bodies and how we just shift and position any body part creates a different inner experience and it's a different message. With our palms facing up towards the ceiling, there's a sense of giving, of allowing, of openness. And with our hands or our knees, there's a sense of conserving, security. Notice what comes up for you. You're checking in with your core. Your core is active, spine is long, and then shoulders are drawn down. Chin is in a neutral position. Now we have a tendency to tilt forward or collapse our body. So right now We're placing purposeful attention and keeping a long spine here, being active in our body, yet restful as well. Our sit bones are grounded on the floor. Those are the bones near your glutes. And now, keeping your eyes either open, focus on one point across the floor or room. That helps with concentration, keeps that little mental flutter of thoughts a little bit more corralled. Either focus on that point or close your eyes for more inner experience. We take 3 breaths. Inhale, exhale. Second breath, inhale, exhale. One more breath cycle here. And after that breath cycle, we'll shift into a twist to open up and release throughout the lower spine, mid and upper. We're going to take our left hand to land on our knee. Grip that knee firmly to support you in a twist. So you're not just softly taking your hand towards your knee. You're purposely gripping to help intensify a twist towards the left. So as I'm twisting, I'm leading through my chest to my heart. My left shoulder pulls back and down. My chin moves towards my left shoulder. My gaze looks over my left shoulder. Take a comfortable breath, not necessarily a deep, long breath. That's more difficult than twists. And then release. Now, left hand lands right on top of that right knee. Twist towards the right. Chin moves towards that shoulder. You're gripping that knee, spine is long. Release, come back to center one more time on each side. Holding. And then release. Opposite side. Release, come back to center. We're going to take our hands right behind our head, elbows pressed back, twist towards the left and towards the right, leading through your chest, your heart. You remain on one side a little longer. And then after a few moments there, or a few rounds on each side, we'll start to release and rest on our knees. Shoulders lift up towards our ears. We draw them back. So we lift up, draw back, about 3 rounds back, and then 3 rounds forward. Lifting, it feels a little different when we roll forward. We're not really used to that motion. And after those 3 rounds, lift your arms up overhead, palms up towards the ceiling, round your spine, tuck your chin towards your chest. Hold here. And release. We'll start to take both soles of the feet, have them touch. I'm going to take about 5 breaths here as we fold down. Now you're breathing into the stretch, noticing where you naturally stop, perhaps taking a moment to assess there with the breath. And then very intentionally start to fold a little bit more. It can be subtle. Your belly drops towards the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe here. Fold a little bit more. And then release. We'll start to take our legs out in a V. We're going to concentrate on each leg individually and then fold in the middle. So keep that in mind. Notice that as you're folding here, you're preparing the body to fold down the middle. So first flex your right foot, and then with your chest, your heart, twist towards the right. Invite a little bend to that knee and then fold over. You can choose to soften that left foot or keep it flexed. You're breathing into hamstrings, glutes, hips, lower back. Allow the breath to support you. And release. Opposite side. Twist towards the left. You can flex your right foot to intensify that stretch or relax that foot. Few breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Release. Now as you fold forward, take your hands out and follow your hands. Just inch them forward. You can have a little bend to your knees and fold. You're dropping your belly towards the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Feel free to hear your inhale and exhale. And start to release the pose. Let's go ahead and transition into a tabletop. Just open up our little hips here. Now our hands are right beneath our shoulders, knees or hips with distance apart. Lift your left leg, bend your knee, and then stack your hips. Round your spine, knee and chin move towards your chest. So you're inviting a rounding of the spine here. Drop your knee. Opposite side, lift your right leg, bend your knee, and then stack your hips. Round your spine, knee and chin towards chest, press through your palms, and then drop your knee onto the floor. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Inhale up. Exhale, round your spine. Press that left palm onto the floor. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release. Lift your left palm, hand up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release. Step back into your child's pose. 3 breaths. Inhale, exhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Remind yourself of that body part that you're focusing your attention on. Shift back up into a tabletop, hands beneath your shoulders. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale up. Exhale, round your spine. You're going to press that right hand onto the floor. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. This time, we're going to move into a needle pose. I took a moment there. So your left shoulder comes onto the floor, and now lift that right arm up towards the ceiling. Now you can keep that arm extended, or you can keep that hand resting on your lower back or around your hip. And then release your hand onto the floor. Now opposite side, lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. And now release that right shoulder onto the mat, the floor. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling and pull. Either keeping that arm lifted or resting that hand on your lower back or hip. Both options work. Release your hand. Come back into your tabletop. Step back into your child's pose. 3 breaths. Extend the length of your inhale and exhale as you come into that 3rd breath cycle. Release your child's pose. Lift up into a downward facing dog. Hold your down dog. Your body is in this upside down V here. Press through your fingertips and palms. Breathe into your hamstrings. You can pedal your feet back and forth. That's going to open up further around the hamstrings and hips. Loosen the lower back. And now plank pose, hold your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Shift up into an upward facing dog. Extending your elbow, shoulders slide down. Exhale, downward facing dog, hold. Deep belly breath. Inhale. Exhale. Another breath, inhale. Exhale. Drop your knees onto the floor, step back into your child's pose. 3 breath cycles. Second cycle of breath. Third cycle of breath. Release your child's pose, lift back up, downward facing dog. Pedal your feet back and forth. Open up your hips and your glutes. Inhaling, exhaling. Start to move down into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up into your upward facing dog. And then lift up, downward facing dog. Once again, pedaling your feet back and forth. Inhale, exhale. One more round, a child's pose. Shift down into a child's pose. Knees either close together or towards the edges of your mat. 3 breaths. We're working on that concentration, that flow. Inhaling, exhaling. Notice your second and third breath cycles. At any time, exhale, sigh out. We're regulating our physical, mental, emotional bodies through our breath. And then start to release your child's pose. Last round, downward facing dog. Hold that down dog. You're pressing your palms onto the floor as you're bringing your chest closer towards your thighs. You're breathing into the back of the legs, especially around the hips. And then you can pedal your feet back and forth to extend that stretch and that flexibility into the hips. Releasing tension as well around the lower back, opening as well around the glutes. Paddle your feet back and forth, be quick or slow. And then activate that core strength, plank pose. Your hands are directly beneath your shoulders here. And now release down towards the floor. Inhale up into your upward facing dog. Your shoulders remain away from your ears. Tops of the feet are on the floor. Perhaps you're engaging your glutes for extra support. And then shift up into your downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. You can pedal your feet back and forth here. And now take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to your forward fold. Remain here in your forward fold. You're going to ground your hands onto the floor. Lengthen your stance into a wide-legged forward fold. You're dropping your belly down towards your thighs, towards the floor. Please be mindful of your neck and head to relax. You can cup your elbows with your hands, or you can grip your toes with your fingers. Feel free to hear your inhale and your exhale as you're here. Breathe into the backs of the legs. Breathe into your hamstrings and glutes, hips. Notice how can you relax your torso a little further. And then after a few moments there, start, if you want some extra support, take your hands towards the floor and then bend one knee more than the other. Removing the stretch. Wide-legged forward fold. One breath. And now your regular forward fold. Just inch your feet closer together. They're about hips width distance apart. Inhale halfway up. And then please roll up very slowly. I'm going to prevent any sense of lightheadedness, so move very slowly as you lengthen your spine and come to standing. It can be a little disorienting here, so please be mindful, careful. We'll take our hands in front of our heart or chest and close your eyes here. Shoulders are drawn down. You can inhale, exhale. Release. We're going to bring our arms out to a T. Now, as you bring your arms out to a T, keep your hips square towards the front as we lead through our chest and heart, twisting towards the right. Take your gaze over that right hand, and then come back to center. Opposite side, twist towards the left. Take your gaze over that left hand. Release, come back to center. Release your hands, extend your elbows. Take your gaze up towards the ceiling. Open up your chest, your heart. And release. Shoulders up towards your ears, draw them down. Bend your knees. We're gonna move into a chair pose. Arms shoot out, glutes and quads are active. However, we're gonna bring our arms out to a T and a twist towards the left. Take your gaze over your left hand. Sink into that left hip. Back to center, opposite side. Back to center. Shoot your arms out. Bend your knees, pull down, soften your neck. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Take your vinyasa, step back into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Paddle your feet back and forth in this down dog, opening glutes, hips, and hamstrings. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. This time, let's sweep our arms up overhead. Hands meet in front of our heart center. We inhale here. Exhale. Release our hands. We're going to start to shift into a warrior two. Let's take our left foot forward. Our right leg steps back. Our right foot is in a diagonal. We have a bend to that left knee. Our hips naturally open up here. We're going to bring our arms out to a T. You can always check your arm position. You have a tendency to lift one arm higher than the other. Now keep your gaze focused here. Over that left hand. Imagining a line of energy from one fingertip to the other. Sinking deeply into your heels, your hips, your glutes are active. And stretch into our lower body or our lower back and side body. Release that right hand behind your thigh. Lift your left arm up. Back to warrior two. Inhale. Exhale. Imagine you're holding a ball between your hands. Take that right arm, that right hand over. Keep a bend to that left knee. And now drop your elbow onto your thigh. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Either keeping your head neutral or taking your gaze up towards your hand, towards the ceiling. Engage your glutes. You can keep your elbow or forearm onto your thigh or lengthen that left knee. Drop your hand towards a shin, ankle, or the floor. And release. Both hands spin down. Right foot meets that left foot. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, take your vinyasa. Step back into a plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up into your upward facing dog. And then down dog. Taking about 3 generous breaths in your down dog, breathing into the backs of your legs. And then after those few breaths, come back into that forward fold, softening your neck, your head. Hands to shins, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release and sweep our arms up overhead. Hands meet in front of your heart center. Please be intentional about noticing your left hand press against right hand press against left hand. Arrive to this moment. We're arriving to our breath. Therefore, we're welcoming our experience. Release your hands here. Chair pose, bring your arms out. Bend your knees, engage your glutes, your quads. Bring your arms out to a T. Twist towards the left. Take your gaze over that left hand. So lift your tailbone, bend your knees. Come back to center, opposite side. Inhale. Exhale, come back to center, arms out. Inhale. Exhale. Fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Your choice how you come up to standing. Either roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. Left hand presses against right hand presses against left hand. Prepare for warrior 2. Take your right foot forward, left leg steps back, left foot in a diagonal, 90-degree bend to that knee, arms to that T. Arms are parallel to the floor. Take your gaze over that right hand. Your hips open up naturally here. Bring your shoulders down, activate your core, sink into that right hip. Now, release that left hand behind your thigh, lift your right arm up. Back to center. Warrior 2. Now drop your elbow, forearm onto your thigh. Lift your left arm up. Sink into that right hip. Keep a bend to that right knee. Either keeping your gaze up towards the ceiling or you can always soften your head. Take your hands down, optional. Lengthening that right knee, hands to shins or floor. And exhale, dive down. Both hands frame that right foot. Left foot meets that right foot. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, take your vinyasa. Step back into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up into your upward facing dog. And exhale, move into your downward facing dog. Invite a generous breath here. Inhale, exhale. And now release your downward facing dog into a child's pose. Taking a moment of rest and pause. 3 breaths. Inhale, exhale. Shift your concentration to notice 3 breath cycles. After those 3 breath cycles, start to release the pose. We're going to shift up into a tabletop. In that tabletop, inhale up into a cow pose. Exhale around your spine, cat pose. And then lift your left leg. Right arm lifts. So left leg, right arm are parallel to the floor. Hold. Core is active, engage your glutes. Release your hand onto the floor, release your knee. Opposite side, lift your right leg, lift your left arm. Inhale. Exhale. Release your left hand, release your knee. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose, chin towards chest. And release. We'll start to sit in a cross-legged position. And then together, let's inhale, exhale, sigh it out. Noticing the power of our breath. Drop your chin towards your chest. Roll your head from one shoulder to the next. Full circle. Notice any areas that feel tense, that feel sore. If you prefer to work on meditation, you can always bring your head back to a neutral position. Otherwise, just about 3 more breaths here. Inhaling, exhaling. Noticing our neck and shoulders tend to store so much tension. And then your head comes back to center. Hands to knees one time, shoulders up towards your ears, draw them back one time, shoulders up towards your ears, draw them forward. Lengthen your legs out in front, and then start to prepare to lay down. Make sure you have room behind you. Go all the way down. Once again, inhale here, exhale, side out. Bend both knees and then rock to the left and to the right. Grab your feet with your hands, bend your knees, and then you can lengthen one leg more than the other. You can lengthen both legs, you can bend both knees, you can rock to the left, to the right. And after you've taken a few moments there, start to prepare for your final resting pose of the class, your Shavasana. You can lengthen your legs, palms face up towards the ceiling. Take the longest breath you can, inhaling as much as you can, exhaling optional sigh out. And then after that breath or two, you can either continue practicing some deep, long breaths or allow your breath to go back to its natural rhythm. There's a lot of power to that as well. As long as we're constantly learning, we can approach anything in so many ways. Do be aware that this final resting pose is a pretty universal class despite the diversity of yoga classes that are offered and the styles and the teachers. This last resting pose is a purposeful pose of releasing, letting go, inviting, and integrating. And it can happen in ways that we're very aware of. It's very explicit. However, it can also be an ambiguous process. Allow for both. Soften your forehead and jaw and neck. Down the length of your arms, noticing your wrists and palms and fingertips. Soften just a little bit more. Release the upper back, mid back, lower back. To the area around the tailbone, around the hips, behind the knees, down to the ankles and toes. Observe thoughts and sensations without judgment. We'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. Restore some movement to your fingertips and toes. You have the option of inviting a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, and or turning your body to the side, allowing it to remain heavy and relaxed. Once again, returning to a generous and leisurely breath. Returning to this moment, inviting your experience through your breath. And then after another breath or two, start to make your way up to your seat in a cross-legged position or on your ankles as I'm demonstrating. Lengthen the spine, draw the shoulders down. And remember that you can return to your breath at any time throughout the day, throughout the week. You can always release to-do lists just for a breath, just to fill in to what's moving through you. Let that support you in your day. And then we'll seal the class, taking our hands in front of our heart center. Let's inhale here and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.